family, and welcome to the Daily Way, where our thoughts have been turned toward the fruit of the Spirit. And our focus today is the fruit of joy. I'd like to read from Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And as I said, today we're going to be talking about joy. Now, hold on. I can hear you saying, Lisa, do you not realize the circumstances of life right now and how hard it is to be joyful? Believe me when I say that I do. This has been an incredibly difficult time in our lives. Even if we haven't personally lost a loved one or been devastated by the loss of a job, we've still been devastated by the loss that surrounds us. The numbers of deaths and the economic impact is staggering and, quite honestly, should demand our recognition, our grief, and our lament. So what does that have to do with joy? And why am I bringing us all down when we're supposed to be filled with joy? The answer is really quite simple. The joy the Apostle Paul is addressing has nothing to do with our circumstances. The joy that is the fruit of the Spirit is a joy whose foundation is God. It's a joy that's superior to the thrill of an exciting experience, like that first bite of a warm chocolate chip cookie, or a significant accomplishment such as a graduation, or hitting that perfect golf shot, or maybe seeing your favorite performer live in concert. That's not what this joy is about. It's a joy that isn't dependent on circumstances and can abide and thrive even when circumstances are terrible. It's a joy that's based on relationship, our relationship with God, made possible through the sacrifice of Christ and made personal by the indwelling of the Spirit of God. Let me tell you a story to help explain this a bit better. Our son Josh dated his wife Sarah for a number of years before they were married. By the time he proposed, we had grown to know and love Sarah. However, no woman was good enough for this mama's son. And I worried about whether or not this was the right choice. After all, Sarah was the only person he had ever dated, so how could he possibly know? Yeah, I know. I was being that mom. On the day of their wedding rehearsal, all that changed for me. All my doubts vanished in a single moment of exuberant joy. The rehearsal itself was over. Sarah and her attendants had gone to their rooms to freshen up for the rehearsal dinner. Larry, Josh, and I were standing talking when suddenly his entire expression changed. He looked up and he saw Sarah walking toward us. She began to run toward him and she threw herself into his arms, and he twirled her around and around and around, oblivious to anyone but his beloved. The joy evident on their faces, in their actions, and in their entire being was obvious. That joy didn't come from the anticipation of a delicious meal that was to come, or the long-planned and wonderful wedding that would occur the next day. No, that joy that they expressed came from the depths of their relationship, their deep and abiding love for one another. I think that's the same kind of joy the Holy Spirit wants to become fruitful in our lives. It's a joy that delights in God, but is also a delight to God. It's a joy that's based on our relationship with God. A joy that isn't dependent on situations or people, but is solely dependent on our relationship with God. Did you catch that? It's dependent on our relationship with God. So if your joy has dwindled, or if your joy seems to have vacated the planet or at least your life, perhaps your relationship needs a bit of attention. So some questions you might want to think about. How much time are you spending with God? How much focus is on circumstance rather than God? How much effort are you putting into this relationship with God? Is there something that has pushed God aside? Maybe it's sin, or maybe it's just simply neglect. One thing we all know from relationships with other people, with those we love, is that if we don't spend time with the one we love, if we allow our desires to always take precedence over their desires, if we just begin to no longer care, the relationship might endure, but the joy will not. A healthy harvest of fruit requires nurture, and it sometimes requires pruning. I don't know about you, but as I've prepared this devotion, throughout the day, I've spent some time analyzing my relationship with God, looking to see what needs nurturing and what needs pruning. I want the fruit of joy to be so evident in my life that those around me can see a difference. I want my relationship with God to be one of joyous twirling around and around and around in the arms of God, regardless of circumstance. That is my prayer for myself and for you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Watching the nightly news, don't seem to find the rhythm, just wanna sing the blues. Feels like a song that never stops, feels like it's never gonna. Gotta get that fire back in my bones before that heart turns into stone. So won't somebody please pass a megaphone? I'll shout it at the count of 3. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, I'm singing to the sky. Give me strength to raise my voice, let me testify. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, 'cause this is do or die. The time has come to make a choice, and I choose joy. Let it move you, let it move you, let it move you. Yeah, I choose joy. Let it move you, let it move you, let it move you. Yeah, back when I was younger, my eyes were full of life, but now that I am older, I live at the speed of light. Feels like the cycle never stops, feels like it's never gonna. Gotta get that fire back in my bones before my heart turns into stone. So won't somebody please pass the megaphone? I'll shout it on the count of 3. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, I'm singing to the sky. Give me strength to raise my voice, let me testify. Oh, hear my prayer tonight, 'cause this is do or die. The time has come to make a choice, and I choose joy. Let it move you, let it move you, let it move you. Yeah, I choose joy. Let it move you, let it move you, let it move you. Though I walk through the valley in the shadow of night, or with you by my side, I'm stepping into the light. I choose joy. Let it move you, let it move you, let it move you. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart, down in my heart to stay. I choose joy. Let it move you, let it move you, let it move you. Yeah, I choose joy. Let it move you, let it move you, let it move you. Though I walk through the valley in the shadow of night, or with you by my side, I'm stepping into the light. I let it move you. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay.